Hello, hello, hello. This is Gresh from the I Am CEO podcast, and I have a very special guest on the show today. I have Nikki Green of the lucrative.com. Nikki, it's awesome to have you on the show.
Hey, thanks, Gresh. Glad to be here.
Definitely super excited to have you on. And before we jumped in, I want to read a little bit more about Nikki so you can hear about all the awesome things that she's doing. And growing up in Hayward, California, as one of three white kids in the school of 1600, Nikki's experience was diverse. With a multi-parent lifestyle, Nikki learned to adapt to ever-changing environments and rules. And in 2020, she walked away from a lucrative tech job to start Green Chameleon Collective. She started Green Chameleon Collective with a singular mission to shape how the next generation of business leaders can remain unique and true to themselves and turn that uniqueness into an advantage. Nikki, are you ready to speak to the IMCO community?
I am. I'm excited. Can't wait.
Awesome. I'm excited too. You're doing so many awesome things. So before we jumped into hearing exactly what that was, I wanted to rewind the clock a little bit and hear a little bit more on how you got started and what led you to start all the awesome work you're doing.
Yeah, so Green Chameleon Collective, it's actually the second business I founded. In 2009, I started a business called Purple Turtle Events. You can see I like colors and animals.
Yes.
To host kids triathlon. I was really deep into triathlons and endurance sports at the time. But that was sort of a side project, and I was still working in corporate. And I've been living under that corporate rock for the last few years, just working and working for others and not feeling fulfilled and not doing enough in my community. And so this new business has been a decade in the making. I think my challenge was throughout my career, I had a lot of mentors who claimed to be there for me, but really pressured me to conform, and they wanted me to pretend that my uniqueness didn't exist. And that inauthentic way of being one person at work and one person outside, it left me feeling really empty. And I wanted something better, and I wanted to give back. And after all of the changes last year in 2020, it was just time to act. And so I left my lucrative tech job and I started to build this vision I have for Green Chameleon Collective. And I want to inspire the next generation. I want to guide them through the challenges that I've experienced in my life and career, but also keep helping them through these new challenges as they're arising, because there's no shortage of them these days.
Yeah, absolutely. We were definitely, talking offline about like all the changes and things and how you kind of have to keep rolling with the punches, so to speak. And I think I love the fact that, you told us a little bit about that journey, because I think so many times you feel that empty feeling that you kind of talked about, and you feel like there's no way out sometimes. But to hear somebody that's been able to kind of, take on the reins, take those changes for yourself, but also for so many others, I think that is a great reminder to us that we can be true to ourselves and at the same time make an impact in the way that we see fit.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So I wanted to drill down a little bit deeper now, hear a little bit more about your business. Could you take us a little bit more into what you do and how you serve the clients you work with?
Yeah, well, the objective of collective is exactly that, right? It's not going to ever just be one thing. I want it to keep evolving and adapting and changing to the needs of the next generation. And I'm always going to have a few different irons in the fire. The biggest thing right now is I'm about to release my new book. It's called I Laugh in the Face of Danger and Other Life Lessons That Should Have Taught Me Better. And it's a tell-all memoir. It's insights of race and religion and misogyny and culture. It really covers a lot of things that I've experienced in my life. Like you said in my intro, I started with 6 parents. That's kind of different just to begin with. And I moved a lot and really had to adapt and grow every single day to deal with all those differences. And it's also a behind the scenes look at what it's really like to be a woman working in Silicon Valley. There's lots of books out about, how men are experiencing corporate life, but there's been some recent studies out that said, about 50% of women in Silicon Valley have experienced some kind of harassment, mostly sexual in nature. And we're not talking out, because when we do talk out, the survey also says nothing's happening, right? And so after 2 decades in these Fortune 500 companies, I really felt like all these different things coming together, especially at this time, in our nation's history, it's important for us to start really sticking to those convictions and beliefs and lead others to be a part of the change forward. Aside from the book, there's going to be a podcast YouTube channel. It's going to be called Stand Up and Stand Out. I'll use the chapters of the book and those lessons to, lead people along. And there's going to be the very first episode about bad bosses and what do we do and how do we deal with those. And then Believe the Algorithms to basically take your life back from social media. A lot of the feedback I've been getting from the youth is they're just so overwhelmed because they're constantly in it, looking online at Facebook and Instagram and everything else, and how to really take it back and move forward with your life. And just teaching people one-on-one through career coaching and motivational speaking, just a lot of stuff there. And if all of my business stuff wasn't enough, I am also on the advisory board for Transcontinental University, which is an innovative, newly accredited, completely online school that works to create customized development plans for the whole person, including emotional intelligence and things like that. So, that's all for now. So much more probably coming after that.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're not busy at all. You absolutely sound like a slacker. So you have to get
I
to
don't
work.
sleep.
But no, no, you're doing so many, phenomenal things. And I love that thing. What came out to me was that voice piece, especially when you talked about a lot of the harassment that women might face, especially in, a lot of places, but definitely, along the Silicon Valley area. Being able to feel like you have a voice and be able to feel like you can speak out and you can take actions in order to make that happen. And I think that speaks to obviously those situations, but so many others where so many times we shy away from, stepping into who we are, our purpose, or stepping into things that we feel like we should stand up about because we don't know if the thing that we say or the thing that we believe will, just, I guess, go in the wind, or if it actually will make a change and will make a purpose. So I love that you not only help many people do that, you've done that yourself, but you're also creating platforms and ways for people to empower themselves as well.
Absolutely. I think it's so important. I think too many people from lots of different groups, right, have been disadvantaged for too long. And it's time that we all start working together to fix some of these things that have been happening. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And like especially during times like this, I think, everything's kind of a double-edged sword where, of course, you have a lot of, frustration,
hmm
depression, just so many things happening during this time. But at the same time, usually during times like this, where there's a lot of disruption and things that are changing, there's usually opportunity to create things that I love that you've been able to kind of go to creating a solution and being able to be part of the organization you're building, but also parts of organizations that you're a part of as well too, to be able to be the change that you hope to see, and create that in the world.
Absolutely. It is a perfect time to pivot, right? It is the time to really look at what's happening and ride that wave a bit of getting people behind you for this, and really starting to make sure that you are bringing your true self to work and to life every day. We're all experiencing challenges, and I want to bring a more positive edge to things. Like, let's not just complain all the time and dwell in what's been happening. It's time that we take that and actually bring some energy to fixing these things, whether it's for yourself or for a broader cause, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's definitely something that's needed during all times, but especially during a time like this. And so would you consider that to be what I call your secret sauce, the thing you feel kind of sets you apart and makes you unique? Is it your ability to be able to ride the wave and also teach people how to ride the wave? It sounds like too, to be able to see that change, but also evolve with those times.
Yeah, I talk a lot about uniqueness, and I really want to compel future leaders to find strength in that uniqueness and teach people when to listen and to learn, and then when to stand out and when to speak up. A lot of people think of uniqueness as what they see of, my blue eyes, my freckled face, my currently Valentine red hair. They see that as identity, right? But for me, uniqueness is about the stories, our foundation, the experiences that have shaped us. And I want them to use those, even if they've been difficult or challenging. Those things give you strength, and that you can use them and you can keep building upon it. And I don't want people to be afraid to be themselves. I want them to be so genuine that it helps other people also bring out their unique self. And there's power in that. There's power in the telling of our stories. There's power in us just being genuine. And I think with, adding Zoom and seeing into people's homes, that barrier between work and home also has kind of gone away. And so it's a great time for us to just keep bringing that forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And so many times there were silos between work and a home life and personal life. But definitely, as you said, with Zoom and so many different ways that we're starting to feel, I guess, vulnerable even too, like we can connect
hmm
with others because we're all going through some type of disruption or frustration in some form, shape, or fashion. But I love how you spoke to the uniqueness of us and how it's not necessarily just the things that we see, it's those things and experiences that we have because no one can be you and have those exact same experiences. Even somebody that you might be a twin, a splitting image of exactly who you are, has had a different experience, has different interests, and is structured and given gifts in a different way. So I love how you kind of tap into that and remind us of drilling down to do that, because it reminds others that they're able to do that as well too.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So I wanted to switch gears a little bit, and I wanted to ask you for what I call a CEO hack. So this could be like an app, a book, or a habit that you have, but it's something that makes you more effective and efficient.
Yeah, I think I have kind of two big things. For me, fitness has been my foundation. From the time I could walk, I was doing gymnastics and ballet. My mom was a collegiate gymnast. My uncles all played sports. And as my brother and I got older, all three of me played volleyball. And he was a quarterback at football and threw javelin at track. And then I started coaching, right? And luckily, my stepdad was an athletic trainer at Chabot College there in Hayward for 30 years. So he put us back together every time we had an ailment, which was often with, playing that much sports.
Exactly.
And then more recently, I've cycled over 200 miles in the Seattle to Portland bike ride. I've completed 2 half Ironmans, 7 marathons, countless other things. And in my office are the achievements from those things. I look at them every day and I remind myself that no matter how tough times might be, right now, I've always done something harder. I can put the work in. I can figure out how to get to that next level, even when it seems insurmountable. And it just takes time and patience with yourself. But I think that fitness thing for me is always an important way to sort of recover from the stress of every day too.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. That's a huge thing, and to be able to do that and to see those achievements reminds us of being in a place where we didn't know if we were able to do it, but we did it anyways. And that's something we could
Absolutely.
definitely call back on to.
Yeah. And then professionally, there's so many great things. Everybody reads, you need to be constantly learning. That's usually sort of a staple. But for me, one tool that has really set apart is using OneNote. Now, I'm a little biased because I used to work at Microsoft, but my OneNote is quite legendary. And when I left my last job, people wanted to like cement it or like somehow save it. But it's a great way to take notes. It's searchable. It's basically like a digital notebook. And I can go back when I rethink about a certain topic. I can paste a URL. I can take a screenshot from a Zoom meeting, and I can keep filling it in. And it's cloud-based. So I can be on my phone and do it when I'm out and about running errands, or I'm at the gym. And then I can also sit here at my desktop and have it. And I think keeping myself organized, especially with so many projects going on, has been a really critical part of being able to keep all these projects moving over the last few months. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I love both of those, those hacks, and you're absolutely right. I think that I have a phrase I always usually say that it's not the number of hours, it's how you leverage them. And one of the ways to kind of leverage them and use them is to make sure that you're not usually for me at least, not holding everything in your head. So to have a
Yeah,
place that you can go and put all those things that you don't necessarily remember everything, but you know where to go to find everything and how to find
exactly.
everything is absolutely huge when you're trying to, make a really big impact, I think, and really, tackle some really sometimes challenging things to make that impact and really put that dent in the world.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's tough. And even, when I was still in the corporate world, I had a team of 20 people and they were all doing different things. And, I had to keep everyone's project straight. So, I've continued using that throughout my career. And I'm even using it to write my next book because I'm already starting on book 2,
Mhm.
and keeping it organized. It's been really, really helpful in gathering research so I can go back and find it. Right.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And so I wanted to ask you now for what I call a CEO nugget. So this could be a word of wisdom or piece of advice. It might be something you would tell a client, or if you hopped into a time machine, you might tell your younger business self.
Dream bigger, man. Dream bigger. When I was younger, I was studying French. I studied French for 7 years, and I dreamed of traveling and maybe living in Paris. And like that was sort of my big dream. But I went to Paris at the age of 18, and I went to school for a summer there. And by the time I was 30, I had been to a dozen countries. I spoke 4 languages. I'd been to Europe, Asia, North and South America, and that was at 30. So then I'm like, what do I do?
What's
And there's still
next?
tons more countries, to explore and see, and even just exploring our own country. There's a lot to see across the U.S. So just dream bigger, whatever that is for you, whether it's work or personal. You could be really surprised how much you can accomplish if you just set your mind to it. And part of that is also the second part of the advice is turn off your phone alerts. It's another part of unplugging, and don't let all the noise around us keep distracting you. You can go and look at it for a little time period, but set a time limit and fill your life with rewarding experiences. Connect with people again, even if we still have to do it 6 feet apart. But it's important. I think, like, get your head out of all of this and start looking around again at the world around you, and remember what it is that makes you excited and what inspires you.
Yeah, I absolutely love that, and I think you hit the nail on the head, in terms of being able to kind of take a step back and pull yourself away from those things. Because I think so many times we don't realize, like, a lot of these things that are pulling for us are really giving us those kind of, I guess they said, shots of dopamine, so to speak,
Yep.
where you feel like you're getting fulfilled, but you're not really. It's like eating. I'm looking at fruit snacks. I love fruit snacks. I'm eating fruit snacks. They don't really fill you up, but they do give you that shot of dopamine. But being able to understand that and be able to kind of take a step away, it allows you to really find those fulfilling things of why you're doing what you're doing, to really ask those questions and start to fulfill a full life. And I love, right in tandem with that, it sounded like it's the dream bigger, to be able to take what you think you can do and go a little bit farther, because there's a quote that I'm gonna butcher, but you'd be astounded by the things that you can do, in 5 to 10 years. Sometimes we expect what over I guess expect what we can accomplish within a year, but we can do so much more in 5 to 10 years. And sometimes we set the bar so low that we don't really reach as far as we could reach if we were really to do that.
Yeah, and you set those big goals, and it makes you have a bit more pressure too to really go for it,
Mhm.
right? Is if you set something you can achieve, then you're going to do it, and you're just not going to be as motivated. I have a great career coach myself, and when we started talking about what I wanted to accomplish with my business, I said, oh, well, I'd like to make about the same amount of money I made before, and I talk about it in the book, but it's kind of like, he's like, well, you can make that amount of money, like, you've done it, so why would you set that as a goal? Set the next goal.
Mhm.
Like, what do you want out of life? Like, and what does that money get you? Traveling. I love traveling, right? And so it's like, okay, well, how much would I need to make to run my business and do something cool, right?
Right. Absolutely. No, I
Mhm.
love, and even too, like, having those people around you to be able to kind of challenge you in order to do that is absolutely huge. But the saying is, there's no pressure, no diamond. So a lot of times that pressure that you have will help you build into who you know that you can become, but just might be a little bit more sane in your comfort zone to be able to make that happen. So I absolutely love those nuggets. And so now I wanted to ask you my absolute favorite question, which is the definition of what it means to be a CEO. And we're hoping to have different quote unquote CEOs on the show. So Nikki, what does being a CEO mean to you?
Yeah, I think it's a bit like, people kind of think, oh, well, you call yourself an author, you haven't published anything yet, right? But someone told me a good piece of advice is, no, you started writing a book. Plenty of people start writing books.
Yeah.
That's still an author, right? And the same thing with CEO. You just keep going for it. And I think, as you see, I have a lot of projects going on. Everybody does when you run your own business. And I never wait for someone to work for me. It's about building your network. It's about being a mentee and a mentor. And whether you're on both sides of those equations, you always have stuff to learn. You always have stuff to teach others, and really finding good talent around you to help you through your journey. I've recently connected with a platform called Acadium, and they help you connect basically an intern or apprentice to do certain activities for you for about a 3 month stint. And it's been fantastic because they don't have much experience, so they need to get going. I got a ton of stuff to do, so I'm happy to, share the workload with them. So there's lots of ways now to, find that way to network and complement your best skills with other people around you.
Yeah, I absolutely love that perspective and that definition, and being able to kind of step into that and understand that you'll always be kind of stepping into that. And as we reach our goals and crush our ambitions, we always want to step into that. But I think within that is a really valuable thing that you said, which is that sometimes we may not necessarily know how it's going to happen, but we start to take the steps and those steps start to appear. And I
Mhm.
think so many times we want to have everything laid out perfect, and that doesn't happen often.
Nope.
Definitely is a lot less likely to happen now. So we have to be able to take those steps, and a lot of times those opportunities, the connections, the programs that you mentioned as well, to start to appear, and allows us to bridge that gap to get to where we need to be.
Absolutely, absolutely. I've had amazing mentors throughout my life, and they don't just help with your career. You know, a really good mentor helps you become well-rounded, right?
Mhm.
And so that's where I also get energy from other people, and I do love mentoring them. And I've learned from those mentors, right? Like how to help people along, and don't just think about it about the work piece, because that's only one element of who a person is. Think about making sure it's a well-rounded person,
Absolutely. That holistic part is absolutely huge. And so,
right?
Nikki, truly appreciate you for all the awesome work you're doing. Of course, appreciate you for the time. What I want to do is just pass you the mic, so to speak, just to see if there's anything additional you want to let our readers and listeners know. And of course, how best they can get a hold of you, get a copy of the book, listen to the podcast, and find out about all the awesome things you're working on.
Yeah, so much to see, right? Well, I'm at thenikkigreen.com. I'm also at greenchameleoncollective.com. The book is coming out shortly. It'll be available on Amazon and other places where you can download ebooks. And the podcast Stand Up and Stand Out is set to release in March. It'll be on YouTube, Spotify, other podcast platforms. Maybe Gresh, you'll honor me and be on my podcast when we get up and running. But you know, the best advice always is like, you can be in 1,000 places, but let's go to Instagram for now. Instagram at Green Chameleon Collective, and I repost my TikTok videos there if you need a good smile in the day. Articles I publish on Medium and other places, and pretty much anything of my projects will start there, and you can branch out from there of whatever makes you happy to look at from a Medium perspective.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, I definitely appreciate that, Nikki. What we'll do is we'll have the links and information in the show notes as well, too, so that everybody can follow up with you. Definitely, it'd be my honor to be on your show once you get it up
So
and going. So I appreciate that. And I hope you have a phenomenal rest of the day. I love the work that you're doing and the impact that you gave today, but definitely take care. And I hope you have a great rest of the day.
great. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great day.